Another great and really classic way to get around India is actually on a scooter, on a motorbike. They can be a lot of fun. I've actually had a really great time riding around scooters with friends in India. Okay, full disclosure though, I no longer drive myself. I tried to drive a motorbike once. I was in the hospital, you guys. Like it didn't go so well. I blame myself, okay? But if you do feel comfortable on a scooter or on a motorbike, it's fun to ride around with one. Not a lot of Indians wear helmets. I don't think I ever saw anyone wearing a helmet in North India. Possibly in the South, there may have been someone who was wearing a helmet, but it's not very common. But if you rent a motorbike, you can absolutely get one and should wear one. If it's your first time on a motorbike, you definitely want to be careful. The streets are different, the rules are different. And when I say the rules are different, I mean that there are no rules. That is different. So you might want to be aware of that. A red light is a suggestion. Don't think that that's a rule. Just because someone has a red light does not mean they will stop. True story, okay? I've seen this happen also in Thailand. It's really kind of different. So if you're expecting people to follow structured rules, that's not the case when you're on the roads in India. It's definitely a lot more fluid and flexible. Another thing you want to be aware of is that if you rent a motorbike, you do want to check and see if they have insurance, because not every place does. Don't assume that if you rent a bike from a place and then you get into a little scuffle or a little fender bender that it's going to be covered and taken care of. That's not always true. So you want to have that conversation beforehand just so that you and the place you're renting from are on the same page. But motorbikes can definitely be fun. I've definitely enjoyed riding around as a passenger on them on many occasions, and you can enjoy it. And it's also really amazing because I thought that motorbikes are for like 1 or 2 people. Not in India. Not in India. I've seen up to like 4 or 5 people on like one motorbike. And online, like some of my friends, they were like 4 or 5, this is nothing. I've seen videos, I don't even know how many, 10 people on one motorbike. They're all just having a good time, like loving life, rolling through India. So this is what you can expect to see. It is fun, it is a fun, amazing time, but definitely make sure you're safe, use caution, wear the helmet, don't worry that no one else does and you kind of look dorky. Be safe. Dorky is okay, you'll be fine. Just enjoy yourself, or don't ride them. There are many other ways to get around. If you're really concerned about it and you're worried about the traffic because it is different and the rules are not the same, we talked about that. Not mandatory. So you can walk, take buses, anyway, there's lots of options. But if you take a scooter, I hope you love it and have fun with it. So when it comes to getting around town, you definitely have a lot of different options. So I love walking around new cities. So one of my favorite things was, guys, I'm always kind of hunting for food and for fruit in particular. So I was just walking around Jaipur looking for fruit markets, which is in Rajasthan, and it was so much fun and interesting. And to get to these fruit markets, I was walking through really local areas where there weren't other tourists, and that was amazing. So walking is definitely a great way to see the new city you're in. But if you don't want to walk or you're going somewhere a little bit farther out of the way, you also have other options. There are rickshaws, and rickshaws are cool. I feel like they're so iconic for sort of foreign travel, whether you're in Thailand or India, like rickshaws and tuk-tuks. By the way, they use both names of rickshaws and tuk-tuks in both countries, Thailand, India, whatever. You can call them both, whichever you like. It's kind of regional. So if you're taking these, they're really fun. Sometimes I've been in rickshaws and they're like blasting their own music, and we're like rolling through India, blasting some Indian music. And I'm in this rickshaw. I'm like, oh my God, is this my life? This is amazing. So I hope you have this experience at some point. It's really fun. Now, when it comes to booking a rickshaw or getting one, you usually just flag them down on the side of the road, or more than likely they see you and they flag you down to see if you want to ride, okay? So what you need to remember though is that negotiation is definitely a part of the game when it comes to getting a rickshaw. It's good to have some sort of a frame of reference as far as knowing what the price should be. That's going to come from either talking to someone at your hotel or hostel, a friend, looking online. Just you want to have some sort of a frame of reference to make sure they're not charging you like 10 times the price, which I have seen happen. So you just want to pay a little bit more. Listen, tourists always pay a little bit more for these kinds of things. It's very common. So don't freak out, no big deal. So rickshaws are definitely a fun way to get around town. Another option, oh my God, this is so Western, but like also so great, Uber, you guys. It is amazing how Uber has really come in and like just gotten into so many places and made it so easy to get around. So I've taken Ubers in North India. I've taken Ubers in different cities in South India. It's definitely a nice option. There's also an app called Ola, OLA, which is basically the same as Uber, just a competitor, which also will give you these just air-conditioned rides. Of course, you're gonna need some data or some Wi-Fi. If you're at your hostel, you can, and a lot of times, by the way, it's paying cash. It's pay as you go. So you don't have to set it up with a credit card in advance. I actually never do that when I'm traveling. I only pay in cash for all of my Ubers or any of those apps. So you can pay as you go, and so you're gonna need Wi-Fi to book it. And of course, if you're out and about and you wanna get home, you're gonna need some data if you wanna have that. So maybe you have a SIM card. I hope you do. I like to travel with a SIM card because it makes me feel really safe and comfortable. And I always know that help is just one little click away to get that ride home. If you're using Uber and your driver calls to find you and you don't know where exactly you are, or the Uber driver doesn't speak a lot of English, here's what I like to do. I give my phone to a local who can describe in the native language where I am. Now, be sure to give it to someone like a shopkeeper or a restaurant person, someone who's reliable and, more importantly, stationary, okay? You don't want to be trying to navigate to find your Uber, and next thing you know, that person maybe runs off with your cell phone. Probably not gonna happen either way, but it's good to be cautious. So that's definitely a great way to do it. Another thing is taxis. There are taxis that you can take, especially coming from airports. I've definitely taken taxis usually to get where I'm going, just easily and quickly. Taxis are always there. At a lot of airports, they have pre-booked taxi counters where you just tell them where you're going, they get you to the taxi and take you. Here's the thing to note though, just because you're doing a pre-booked taxi, whether it's a taxi at an airport or you're just talking to someone on the side of the road, they may not always know exactly where your hotel is. It has happened to me on multiple occasions, even when I've asked them in advance, do you know this place? Do you know this one, And they're like, yep, no, I know for sure. They don't know at all. I find out they don't know when we pull over and they flag down some local in the region, and then they ask them. They'll get you to the neighborhood, they might have a sense of the neighborhood it's in, but they might not know exactly where they're going. So relax, it's nothing to be alarmed about. It's actually shockingly common. You're still safe, it'll still be okay. They're gonna get you there. They just need to tag team some assistance from some strangers on the side of the road to get you to your hotel. But it's totally fine, don't worry. Another way to get around that you might not be aware of or that you might want to check out at some point is, oh my God, what is it? I don't know. What was I gonna say? There was another one. Uber, this. Bicycle rickshaws, that's what it is. Another option that you have in India, which I've really only seen in India, I'm sure it's in other countries though, you guys, bicycle rickshaws. So here's the thing, I really have some conflicted feelings about bicycle rickshaws. Here's why. I've taken bicycle rickshaws on 2 times. By the way, do you know what this is? If not, let me give you a quick overview. I'm sure you've probably seen a normal rickshaw or a tuk-tuk, which is a motorized bike, which sometimes has a little cart on the back, sort of like a motorized thing. A bicycle rickshaw is a bicycle, but attached to the bicycle is a place, a little basket cart thing, that you can sit on. Okay, so the thing is, the guy who's doing it's usually men, they are literally cycling, it is work, okay, in this bicycle rickshaw. They are putting some effort in. Now here's my problem with this and why I feel really conflicted. Both times I was in a cycle rickshaw, they got lost, okay? And both times they got lost, there were hills involved. At one point, I felt so guilty that this dude is he's sweating, his India is hot, okay? The dude gets out of the rickshaw, he's pulling the bicycle up the hill to get to this lost place. It's taking forever. It should have been a 2-minute cycle ride. Literally, I was in there for 15 minutes. I had to get out at one point and help him push the bicycle up the hill because I could not just sit there watching him sweat. It's too much guilt, my Western guilt. I couldn't just sit there okay, whatever. So here's the thing. I do want to support bicycle rickshaws. This is someone's livelihood. They're making money at this. But honestly, you guys, I felt so terrible just having someone work so hard. Both bicycle rickshaws I took got lost. Why? You guys, I told them the destination. Of course I told them. One, I even showed him on a map. Okay, like I showed him on my phone. I had data. I showed him where we were going. No, he did not take me there. We went some other crazy place. I'm not a local. I don't know where we're going. He's supposed to know. So frustrating. But at the same time, it was fun. It would have been more fun had we not gotten lost, had it not been so hot and there wasn't a hill involved. But yeah, at your own risk, you guys. At your own risk, Tasty's Bicycle Rickshaws. So anyway, as you can see, there are no shortage of options on ways to get around, whether you want to walk, bicycle, rickshaw, Uber. Try them all. Try them at different times. Why not? Have fun. India's a big country. There's so much to explore that you can just play around with it, you know? Do different things on different days, whatever. There's so much fun stuff to see and explore, and hopefully this will help you get around.